Hayya kabajamoo daawwattoota TV Oromiyaa magaalaa Torontootii fi Oromoo TVdha. Akkam jirtan baga nagaan eeggan isin jechaadha. Akkam sana gochuudhaaf qabdan jechaadha. Keessummaa cimaa qabadhee keessummichi irra qabadhee isin dhiyaate kunis Profeesar Mohammed Hassan warra Ogaden kan diaspora biyya Kanadaa keessa jiru. Haala dhiyoo sana takkaa fudhannu kanatti naannoo Ogadenii fi Oromiyaa keessa akkaataa mootummaa wayyaaneedhaa uummata Oromootii fi uummata Ogaden walitti buusuudhaaf addaan qoqqooduudhaaf fi addaan cicciruu fi wallolchiisuudhaaf tattaafachaa jirtu ilaalchisee Profeesar Mohammed Hassan irraan kana ibsanu kan nutti. Profeesar Mohammed Hassan waan afaan Oromoo hin beekneef jecha qophii afaan Oromoo irraa achi buuneeti afaan Ingiliziin goona. Departing today a little bit from our usual broadcasting language in Afan Oromo. Today I would like to present to you our respected guest, Professor Mohammed Hassan, from Ogaden diaspora in Canada. Professor Mohammed Hassan is a distinguished Ogadenian and a distinguished professor. He's been here before at the Oromo Community Center, explaining the relations with the common interest between the people of Ogaden and the people of Oromia. What has transpired recently in Oromia and Ogaden under the brutal dictatorship of the government of TPLF. Many people think is that there is a wedge between the people of Ogaden and the people of Oromia. Here today, we're very privileged and happy to have Professor Mohammed Hassan. In advance, we'd like to thank you to give us the time to be in our studio and trying to explain the situation in Ogaden. We all aware what's going on recently in that part of the country, in Oromia and Ethiopia in general, and Ogaden in particular. Before we go deeply into what is happening on the ground, can you explain to us today how the people of Ogaden are receiving the movement that is going on in Oromia?
Thank you very much. I have to thank the Oromia TV for this opportunity. Also, let me take this opportunity to send my condolences to the victims of the Ireja massacre. The victims that have died, the ones that have been injured with gruesome injuries, and specifically to those who have disappeared. There are thousands of Oromians, those who were in that religious ceremony, that no one today knows whether they are alive or they are dead. So my condolences to the Oromo community in general. We know this is a struggle. We know the struggle doesn't come cheap. And the blood of our people is not cheap. What is happening in Oromia is exactly what has been happening in the Ogaden. It is what is happening in Gondar. It is what is happening in many parts of Ethiopia. Specifically, we welcome our brothers and sisters in Oromia for the advancement of this struggle, for them saying enough is enough with the Wayana. Wayana can no longer put on the coat of the government in order to take the arable land of the Oromia. And you can see it, what is happening close to Finfine, or what they are calling Addis Ababa. They have taken the whole country. They have taken everything that was arable. They have taken Addis Ababa University, that now is Maqala University. They have taken the airport from Addis Ababa to Maqala, whereby they now give you a discount if you land in Maqala first. So the way the Ogaden people, both in the diaspora and those on the ground in Ogaden, the way we received what happened in the massacre is, number one, those are our brothers and sisters that have been killed. Those are our brothers and sisters in the struggle that have been maimed, that have been disappeared. So in one way, we feel the pain of our Oromo brothers, our brothers and sisters in the struggle. On the other hand, we celebrate the courage for them to come out knowing they will die, knowing their human rights will not be respected, knowing that every risk that was out there, but they still came out in the thousands. So the Ogadens on the ground in Ogaden and the Ogadens in the diaspora, that has really given us more encouragement. It makes us happy to see that the Wayana, our struggle now is 40 kilometers away from Addis Ababa, the so-called seat of power. So that is how we received, but let's not celebrate. It is not a celebration yet until we see the backs of the Wayane, until we see the backs of the TPLF clique and those from any other community that support that clique. Until we see that, we shouldn't celebrate. We should double our efforts.
Beautiful. It is quite really interesting, Professor. You put it down in an eloquent and beautiful way. We have seen the movement throughout the whole country, from Gondar, Gojam, Oromia, Benishangul, all over the country. It seems the current regime in Ogaden, who are aligning with the TPLF, have a whole grip on the people. That's exactly how many people think. Is that quite the fact on the ground?
It's quite laughable if it is not true that they have no control of anything. What has happened in Jigjiga, in fact, has confirmed the power and the success of our struggle, because if it was a demonstration by the people, where is the media? So-called media, whatever exists there, even did not report. So it was quite laughable to see what has happened. By the way, that regime only exists in Jigjiga. Okay, they cannot leave 10 kilometers away from Jigjiga without planning days, without collecting any army they can get hold of, just to get to Dagabur, which is the closest. Anyways, but if it is a demonstration, as they wanted to sell, of the people, by the people, for the people, then how come it only happened in Jigjiga? How come it did not happen in Dagabur? How come it did not happen in Qabri Dahar? How come it did not happen in Warder? How come it did not happen in Diridaba? Anywhere else? Why is it only happening? Why did it happen only in Jigjiga? And it's very interesting, it only happened once. In Oromia, what is happening closer to Finfine, it's happening every day. People are demonstrating. They're taking advantage of every opportunity for them to demonstrate and to take their God-given right to defend their land. But if there is any support, a sliver of support for the regime in the Ogaden, it should not only be happening in Jigjiga. So that in itself tells you that these were people, these were innocent human beings whose businesses were closed, the restaurants were closed, the entire city was shut down. And everybody was asked to, by force, many of them, to come out on the so-called stadium. But what's very interesting is, where are their boards? Where are the messages? If you're going to demonstrate, you got to have a message. Okay, if it is spontaneous, you will see somebody with a written sign somewhere, somebody with a printed sign, you'll see somebody with a different kind of, you'll see different humanity. But it just shows you that this regime, whoever supports this regime, that they're in the last legs. So, my Oromo brothers and sisters in this struggle, what I want you to know is Ogadenia supports your struggle as you support our struggle, and we support the struggle of anyone in Ethiopia who wants to exercise their God-given right to exercise and determine their own destiny.
Thank you, Professor. Yeah, apparently from the pictures or the videos they posted, we have seen that demonstration is not even conducted according to the Ogadeni culture. It's not in Somali, the readings were in Amharic, so that their masters will be happy. Everybody who have seen that would understand. But as you said now, those people have control only in Jigjiga. We have the same kind of regime, the OPDO, who are the collaborators of the massacre, who are the culprits in the killings of the Oromos with the TPLF. We know exactly the same regime exists in Ogaden, and before the massacre happened and started in Oromia, it was the people of Ogaden who summarily executed and killed. Now in saying so, we have a lot at stake that in common, rather than what sets apart our people. Moving forward, how do you think we can bring the movement of these two great nations in coordination so that the TPLF will not succeed in divide and rule policy?
Very important question. In fact, a wounded animal is the most dangerous, because that animal knows its days are short-lived. That animal knows that sooner or later that animal will be history. And fortunately for our people, that's exactly where the struggle is today. Now, the question you have asked is very important, that our peoples, both in the diaspora and both on the ground, be it in Finfine, be it in Dagabur, in Kabridar, in anywhere else, even to our brothers in the struggle, in Gonda, Gojam, in Benishangul, everywhere else, it's important that we do a number of things. Number one, specifically for the Oromo, because now you have a chance to demonstrate and bring those demonstrations and the pain to the seat of power, so-called seat of power. It's important that those who are demonstrating watch out for the people they will be planting. The TPLF regime will be planting their own people into those demonstrators. And they will try the tactics that they have tried everywhere else. They may bring in one of their own, who may be an Oromo. It doesn't matter what color of skin they have. It doesn't matter what language they speak. It does not matter what heritage they have. As long as they do not support the struggle of the people of Oromia, as long as they do not support the struggle of the people of the Ogaden, those are supporters of the regime. So what they will try, and watch out, I hope I am wrong, but you will see it. Now that they know they cannot stop the struggle, they want to discredit the struggle. How are they going to discredit? They will send an Oromo, they will send an Ogaden, okay, and they will arm them. They are from the regime, most likely from their secret service. And then they will plant it inside the demonstrations. Most likely they may arm them. And the idea is so that individual will start shooting. And the moment they do that, that gives them a license to open fire in the name of rescuing the people. So we have to watch out. We have to know who is demonstrating with us. We have to be vigilant. That is the message for those inside. The message for those who are outside, we need our unity more today than we needed yesterday. We needed a unity in message. The messaging that we give is sent to, or the information we give to the European Union, to the Americans, to the Canadians, to anyone who has an interest in knowing about our struggle and who may influence the issues that are happening on the ground. So we have to have the same message. We have to emphasize not just the Oromo or the Ogaden, we have to emphasize the struggle of our people everywhere they are. We have to re-energize our diaspora communities so that those pictures of people who have the same sign, who have that sign showing that they don't care, they will be arrested. We have to make sure we took that message to the Olympics. We took that message back to Addis Ababa. Now we have to take that message together to Geneva, to the United Nations. We have to take it to New York, to the United Nations seat of power, so that the United Nations hears the struggle that our people, what they're going through. The pictures that we have, the videos that we have to disperse and send that everywhere. We have to demonstrate. Why are we watching alone? We have to demonstrate anywhere we are in the diaspora so that we re-emphasize and re-energize the message of our brothers and sisters in this struggle, so that we show those who have died in the Iricha massacre did not die in vain, that their blood, their soul is still alive, that it's alive in our diaspora communities. So, in a nutshell, the three things we need to do is we have to be vigilant, whether we are demonstrating inside or whether we are demonstrating outside. We have to publicize the plight of our people everywhere they are. The plight of the people who are being blockaded in the Ogaden. The plight of the people who have been blockaded in Benishangul. The plight of people who are dying in Oromia. Not just the few that we have seen, the Irija massacre is all we heard about. What about the other massacres? I call the massacre, taking out the parents overnight, so that you're leaving kids. You're leaving kids with no father, with no mother. The father may have been killed, the mother is in jail. So we have to emphasize those plight. And, very important, a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. So we have to bring the pictures and the videos we have. We have to use technology in order to emphasize. Where is our Twitter? Where is our Facebook? Where is our Snapchat? You name it. Whichever platform and media we can get, we have to emphasize the plight of our people, and we have to be united in message. We have to be united in action, both inside and outside, and we have to watch out for the regime implants that are out there to discredit, as they have tried. The so-called demonstration in Jigjiga was just so that they could create a wedge between the Oromo brothers and the Ogaden brothers and sisters, so that they can say, see, the Ogaden Somalis are now supporting the regime. when it is more than laughable, where is the regime? Is not Ogadenia is not just Jigjiga. My message to both our brothers and sisters inside and both our brothers and sisters outside. And always remember, let us not stoop as low as the genocidal regime. If you happen to overcome those conscripts, those poor conscripts who may be coming from any community, they may be Somalis, they may be Oromos, they may be Amharas. If you, those, I'm talking about the so-called police or the militia, if you happen to hold them live, do not harm them. So that they get the message. That in itself is this part of the struggle. Treat them well, the prisoners of war that you may capture if you're inside. And those outside, let's be vigilant. Let's send our message loud and clear. But let's not stoop low, whereby even if we happen to take over an embassy, let's make sure that embassy is our property. It is not a Wayana property. Do not destroy it. Do not destroy it.
Beautiful. You touch a very nice point, Professor. You have really emphasized it on the need for peaceful protest, which is very good. For the last 11 months, close to a year, the people of Oromia have been protesting peacefully, without throwing a stone, without hurting any person or one person, without breaking a single glass or window. And finally, the straw that breaks the back of the camel is the massacre at Iracha, as you have emphasized. When all this is happening, the European Union, apart from some parliamentarians who are really very eager to have some kind of resolution in that area, at the government level, we don't hear. Here in North America, in our own country, Canada, and our neighbor in the United States, we're supposed to be the key player in the Horn of Africa. We are hearing an utter silence in total astonishment. Given all these scenarios, when the major key players and the funders and supporters of that regime are silent, when in Ogaden, they are using Liu police to massacre and kill people. In Oromia and Amhara, they are using agazes to kill, as you have explained. What is the last resort and option left for these people? What do you think?
Okay, we have to take these are two different things. So we have to separate two things. One is the supporters of the regime, so-called supporters, and the biggest supporter is a country that sooner or later, no matter how long it takes, the Ogaden Somalis will take the United Kingdom to court. Mark my word, okay, for what they have done in 1897, what is called the Anglo-Ethio Treaty, whereby they have given away our land. 1884, when they given away the land of the Oromo. So that is the biggest supporter. When this was happening, when the massacre happened, the United Kingdom has approved close to $500 million, UK pounds, to support the regime, so-called refugee resettlement. Are they going to settle the TPLF clique? Or where are the refugees? The people are being killed. Okay, people do not need resettlement today. What they need to decide their own destiny. They need their God-given right to decide their own destiny. But what we need to do, and this is something that I have spoken about many times in the past, as an Ogaden Somali Canadian, and many of you Oromos are Canadians, Americans, you are Europeans, or you're a British, or you're a German, it doesn't matter. We still have the mentality, an outsider mentality. We still say, okay, even though we are citizens, even though these are our governments. Instead of holding them to account, you hear our people saying, what does the UK think? You are the UK. So why is your tax money being spent to support a regime that had killed thousands of people? As recent as a week or 2 weeks ago, the latest massacre was Irija massacre. So that is your money. That's your government. That's my government. So to me, we have to look ourselves as stakeholders. We have to hold these countries, these governments to account, so that the money they're giving away is not a Canadian money. It is my and your money. As a working professional, that is what I contribute. And I have a right to determine where that money is spent. So my message is, let us stand up, let us wake up wherever we are, and let's hold our governments to account. US, there are elections. It is a major election. Our people who are in the US, who are US citizens, you have a chance. So you have to hold your congressman and woman to account. You have to hold your senatorial candidates to account. You have to hold your presidential candidates to account. As my message is, we are stakeholders, wherever we are, especially those in the diaspora. So if you are in UK, hold your government to account so that they make their position clear regarding the Tigray TPLF. If you are in the US, it's election time. So this is when politicians really listen to you. Make sure that the politician that you are supporting has, and the party you are supporting has a clear position in how to remove the clique. Because if the US decides the regime must go, it will go. If the UK decides the regime must go, the reality is it will go. But up until now, the Ottawa, London, Brussels, and Washington, all of them have not said loud and clear. They may tell you off the record that they don't support the regime. They will tell you off the record that what is happening in Ethiopia is unacceptable. But we want to put them on the record.
It is quite interesting. Really, it's a pleasure to have you. There are a group who says, we have exhausted all the possible peaceful way and avenue to bring it to the world. We have brought it. To bring it to the UN, the United Nations, we have brought it. And there is no feedback. The only viable option that has left for the Oromo, for the other Ethiopian, and for the Ogaden people is to coordinate their resistance and engage in meaningful military confrontation. What would you say to those people?
You are putting it as if we have options. Okay? So the person who decides what they want to do is the person who have the luxury of options. Our people, the people who were killed in Irija, the people who were killed in the Ogaden, the people who are being killed everywhere else, they don't have an option. Their option is self-determination. Their option is to stand up. When the farmer, what we say in Somali is, the last person who joins a struggle, armed or non-armed, is the farmer, is the businessman. Why? Because they have a postal code. But the luxury that we have as Ogaden Somalis is we have no postal code. That is why no regime, no matter from 1800s, from 1900s, the dead Zenawi, or anyone else, no one succeeded to colonize our people. Why? Because we have no postal code. Okay, they are trying to attack us tonight. We take our camel, okay, 500 kilometers. We just go behind the enemy. But now, many Oromos don't have that luxury. They are farmers, and that's what the regime has taken advantage of. But when the people lose fear, that is when struggle succeeds. Our people have reached a point of no return. Whether they have a gun, a club, whether they have, a spear, it does not matter. This is a rightful struggle for self-defense. The Ogaden Somalis are not attacking anyone. The person who is dying there in the name of Ethiopian military is not an Ethiopian military. It's a Tigrayan militia. That came from Mekelle. Go back to Mekelle, then I have no problem. I'm not going to come to Mekelle. The militia that are fighting and killing our people in Finfinne, many of them came from somewhere else. Most of them came from Mekelle. Go back to Mekelle. Leave Finfinne to the Oromos. Then you will know. So what our people are engaged, my point is, we're engaged, we're defending ourselves.
Now, the final thoughts, as a Professor Mohammed Hassan, what would you say to the people of Ogaden and to the people of Oromia? Do you have any message?
My message is clear. Whoever watches this transmission, either inside our country or outside, my message is be aware of the so-called frictions that the regime creates. The regime uses a friction, border friction, so-called border, whereby your town now is part of the Ogaden, Somali, region, and then my town is part of the Oromo region. Why? Because he wants us to be busy fighting each other, saying, oh, this is my land, this is your land, while he takes over the whole country. So, land dispute is not something that is important for us at the moment. Our land dispute is we need the country. We need to free our people. So number one, beware of the so-called wedge issues, the land disputes that he has created, manufactured. Watch out for the people who may have your shirt, who may have your name, who may even be part of you, but who are secretly working for the regime in order to discredit our struggle. Watch out for that. And let us hold hands and let our symbol and sign always be, that is what we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mohammed Hassan. It is really a pleasure to have such a beautiful thought and beautiful and eloquent message. And I hope it will not be the last time. We'll see each other next time, hopefully.
Thank you.
And thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hayya daawwattoota keenya egaa kan dhaggeeffachaa turtan kun odeeffannoo Professor Mohammed Hassan waliin goone. Professor Mohammed Hassan akka gaariitti lafa kaa'e. Ummata Ogaadenii fi ummata Oromoo gidduutti mootummaan wayyaaneedha akkaataa itti walitti naqaa jirtu. Magaalaa xiqqoo takka asirraa fuutee kanaaf kennuudhaaf magaalaa Ogaaden irraa fuutee gamana dabarsuudha. Yeroonii fi ummanni keenya waan xixiqqoo dachiidhaa fi magaalaa xixiqqoo irratti wal saamee wal fixu isiin ammoo biyya guutuu qabattee nu saamaa jirti. Kanaaf jecha ummanni Oromootis ummanni Ogaadenis hiriira deeggartoonni mootummaa wayyaaneedhaa guyyaa tokko dirqiidhaan baasanii afaan alagaatiin barreeffatanii dirree kaan osoo hin ta'in wanni waliin nu fida dantaa waliin nu fida ta mootummaa san firraa buusuudha irra guddoo waan taateef jecha bakka deemtanitti bakka agartanitti saba kana akka walitti dhihaatu gochuun dirqama qabsooti isiniin jenna. Gawana dhaggeeffattiif galatooma jechaadha akka isin dhaammatu ana Amasayyooti qophiitti aantutti hamma walitti dachaanutti nagaan jiraadhaan isiniin jaa.